Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Hey, welcome to California Haunts Radio tonight. My name is Charlotte, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight. Real exciting show tonight. Let me open up a little bit. I am the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We're 35 strong up and down the state, and we also have branches in Oregon, Washington, Nevada, and Hawaii, which I'm real excited about. And I can't say enough about who we're going to have on tonight, Lynn Buchanan. I have worked with remote viewers before. My team, we actually had a remote viewer for years, and it's the work they do is absolutely incredible. I used to go into buildings, what we would do was we would give the psychic just the outside of the house, no address, no nothing, so there was no way to look it up, on all the places that you look that stuff up. And she would just look at the front and she'd say, hey, you know what, there's energy going up through the bedroom, there's this going on. But what used to really get me with the whole thing was that she could describe down to the print on the wallpaper what the rooms look like. And I remember sometimes it would kind of freak me out because I'd go walking in, and just taking my little notes, because that's part of what we do, when we do our prelims. We do our walkthroughs and we take little notes on the different furniture, where the windows are and things like that. And I would, she'd say, well, you go straight in, you make a left, you make a quick right, that's the kitchen. Same thing with the bathrooms. And sure enough, that's the direction, you take those directions and there's the room, right? There's a couch over by the window, there's this, there's that. It's just really, it's really cool, but at the same time, it's kind of unnerving because you're thinking, well, how are they seeing these things? But I mean, she did, and it's just incredible experience. So my guest tonight, he did this for the U.S. government. So that's what makes this so cool, because yes, the U.S. government did have a program where they were doing this stuff, and wow, that's all I can say is just a big wow. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our page. We get no love from YouTube. For some reason, we get no love. I know there was a gentleman on a couple weeks ago who left a note for me saying how good the show looked, how good the show was, and it was just, it upset him because we weren't getting any love in the YouTube algorithms. Upsets me too. But we're starting to pick up subscribers, so I'm excited about that. So if you're watching tonight and you have friends or something, bring them on over to watch, because that's what we need. The more the merrier. There's a little ghost right down at the right-hand corner with the magnifying glass, the Sherlock Holmes hat. That's our mascot. Click on that. You can subscribe. If you're watching from Facebook and you haven't watched us before, go over to the YouTube site, subscribe over there. And if you can't find the YouTube site, hey, that's cool. After the show, go over to CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com and click on any video on there, and that'll take you to the YouTube site. Okay? Because we're looking for subscribers and stuff. That's what we want. Numbers. We love doing this. I'm a journalist. I'm a photojournalist by trade. This is what I do. This is what I like to do. So if you could find it in your heart to subscribe, that'd be great. We're also nonprofit. Remember that? That's my PBS moment too. So everything you see here, all my paranormal equipment, everything comes out of my pocket. So if you guys, that are listening, the newer listeners, want to help us out a little bit, that would be great. PayPal.me at California Haunts. That would be wonderful. Or if you're uncomfortable with PayPal, we're on Venmo too, Venmo, and then type in California Haunts. I don't like asking for money. Not my thing, but I want to keep this going. This is all I do. Okay, I'm retired, and this is my fun, and I love bringing informational guests to you, so we learn something. Every show we want to learn something, and we're going to learn something tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Lynn in, and he can tell you about himself, because he's got a unique history, a very busy and unique history. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Okay, I'm out of focus.
You have yellow lines on your It's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, you're in focus to me, so we're good.
Let me see if I can get this camera going here. Who knows? Anyway,
It's okay. I can see you.
how are
You look
you?
great. Good. How are you, sir?
I'm trying. Can't complain. I can't brag. Won't complain.
So tell everybody about you because you have a real unique background.
Well, I was brought into the remote viewing unit that the U.S. military had by a General Stubblebine, who was the head of the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command. And I stayed there the last 8.5 years of my military service. And we used the remote viewing to collect intelligence on foreign countries, militaries, scientific developments, just about everything the intelligence effort would be interested in.
How did they choose you? I mean, did you have to have, or did you have to show abilities before this? Because I mean, what they do just go through the troops and go, "Hey, you want to be a remote viewer? Come on over here."
No, it didn't work that way. There was an incident over in Germany where I was stationed, where I got angry, and I've had PK experiences all my life, psychokinetic experiences, and it destroyed several $1 million worth of computers. If
Wow.
you've ever seen the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats,
Yeah.
they show me walking through the room and the computers go dead. Yeah. And so General Stubblebine came out some months later to the field station. He called me in and he said, he just got up in my face. Did you kill my computers with your mind? And I could just see my great grandchildren still paying for computers, you know. And I said, yes, sir, I did. Yeah. Far effing out if I ever got a job for you. And so he took me back to DC and he wanted to start a unit that would destroy enemy computers with the end goal of controlling them instead so that we could make their missiles fall into the sea or go back at them and all that. Congress said, no, that's mind control. We're not going to do that. And so there I was in DC. He had nothing to do with me. So he put me into the remote viewing unit. And it was the most interesting job I think I've ever had in my life.
I can imagine. So what kind of? And I know it's probably still classified, right? I mean, what kind of work did they have you doing? Obviously, you were looking into buildings from way over Russia or wherever you were looking in.
We were mentally collecting intelligence. And that means we had 2 old condemned buildings from World War II. They just stuck us out in condemned buildings out there in Fort Meade. And one we used for our office,
Nice.
and the other one we used for remote viewing. And we would go over, they would give us a task, but they never told us what it was. So they would give us a task number. This is 970407. Question 3, what's the answer?
Yes, sir. Okay. I apologize.
And,
I lost you for a minute, but that's okay.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where then.
Sometimes my internet, has issues.
Okay.
Too many people. There's too many people in my neighborhood, so they're all on the same internet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where should I start over then?
Just after the question.
Oh, okay. The question was, what did we do and all that?
Yeah.
Okay. We had 2 condemned buildings from World War II, and they stuck us way out in the middle of nowhere in condemned buildings, and So one we used for offices and the other one we used for remote viewing. We would go over and they would say, we have a task for you. They never told us what the task was. They would say something like, this is project 94702, question 3, what's the answer?
Mhm.
And that was it. And we would sit there and do what we had been trained to do, which is a procedure that was developed for the U.S. military by a man named Ingo Swann. And that's called controlled remote viewing. Now, it differs from remote viewing in that in controlled remote viewing, the remote viewing is completely under your own control.
Okay.
So that means you know a normal remote viewer will get psychic information about the target.
Right.
What we do is we get that psychic information, but then they'll say, okay, this one bit of information, tell me more about it. Then this other bit of information, tell me more about it. And so in the end, we may wind up with dozens or hundreds of pages of detailed, highly, highly detailed information about a target. And that's how it differs in results from regular remote viewing.
So when you're doing, so when you guys were doing this, did you have to meditate or anything to get into the frame of mind to do it, or how did you do that?
Each person found their own way that worked best for them. And we databased everything. And so, over a period of time, you learn what works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
What worked best for some was meditation.
Mm-hmm.
For others, it was listening to music and calming down. For me, the thing that worked best was just do it as another job. I do one job, remote viewing, do the other job, next job, and on. That's when I got my best results.
Huh. This is so fascinating to me because, like I said, I worked with a psychic that was a remote viewer for years, and to hear you talk about this, and from what I understand, you were one of the best at it.
No. The best at what?
Yep.
The thing is, each person has their own forte.
Okay.
Some people are best at viewing people. Some people are best at viewing places.
Mm-hmm.
Others, scientific stuff. And so my forte was viewing people. But, there were others that were a whole lot better than I was at other things. So when you say who was the best remote viewer,
Right.
you have to say at what kind of target,
That's understandable because, like on my team, I have 5 psychics that I use, and
Mhm.
they're all good at something.
Yeah.
They all have a forte for it. So yeah, that's completely understandable.
Yeah.
So how far out would you have to send your mind? I mean, did you end up sending to like Russia and places like that?
Oh, yeah. Daily, all around the world, anywhere in the world that they needed to collect intelligence from. Now, the thing is, we were only ever officially tasked to collect intelligence.
Okay.
And everybody, you're going to ask it sooner or later about UFOs and all that.
Right.
I know you will.
Oh,
And the thing is, we were never officially tasked to do any of that.
okay.
But if a 4-star general drops by the office and sits down at your desk and says, hey, I have something I would like to find out about. Would you do this for me?
Mm-hmm.
You think a sergeant is going to say, no, sir, I won't. No,
Right.
you do
Right.
it. You do it.
Right.
And so, yeah, we did unofficially, view other planets, other star systems, things like that. And the thing is, on those, you don't have feedback.
Right.
But we kept a database. We knew what you were good at and what you weren't good at, and that gives a dependability rating. So you look at the results you get and you say, I wouldn't put too much faith in this perception, but this other perception, you can take it to the bank, you know. And so because of the database, we got very dependable information.
Wow. Now that you've opened up the can of worms,
Yeah.
what types of things, as far as UFOs went, were they asking you to do unofficially?
Unofficially,
Yeah.
people would come by unofficially, and we also did some as practice targets. Uh, the ETs have bases here on the Earth, and we kept track of those. Uh, uh, there were incidents, you know, of people observing UFOs, and they wanted to know if that was planes or things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and we would find out. And of course, some of the military people that came by, they were interested in the military ramifications, and you know, we did things like that.
Wow. So all the stories about the government knowing about the ETs are true then?
Oh, that's a totally different thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if they asked you unofficially to look, obviously, they knew about it.
Well, the individual who asked was interested in it, may have known about it,
Sure.
uh,
Okay.
was careful not to tell us anything. Yeah.
What were the planets like that you saw or visited mentally?
uh, different things. After I got out of service, I have been contracted by space exploration and moon exploration companies to do these, and to start other planetary systems and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Ingo Swann himself predicted what the probe going to Jupiter was going to see as it went through the atmosphere.
Incredible.
And 17 years later, when it went through the atmosphere, it saw exactly what he had predicted. He had even drawn sketches, and there it was in the pictures, you know. So,
Were you guys able to track down any planets that had like similar atmosphere and everything to us at all?
yeah, and probably each one of the people in the unit at one time or another has done Mars, and you know, just things like that. But like I say, until we go out there, there's no feedback, and that's not going to probably happen in our lifetime. So,
Right.
you know,
But it's cool though. I mean,
oh
that,
yeah,
that is really neat because I mean, obviously these beings are coming from somewhere, so
yeah,
there has to be other places out there that are supporting life.
oh yeah, and they're here, you know. But yeah, with the database, you can say over the last 1,000 sessions,
Hmm.
I've had this accuracy in whatever aspect of a target. So you can depend on my results on your non-feedbackable target to have that dependability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you talk about the bases that they have on Earth, I know Mount Shasta has for years been, rumored to have a
Uh,
base there. Can you tell me where these bases might be, or we don't want to start a panic with people, or
there's Mount Zeal in Alaska, Mount Hayes in Australia. There's a base up in the Pyrenees in Spain, and one in Zimbabwe. The one in Zimbabwe is mainly a repair facility.
Okay.
The one up in Alaska is mainly sort of an intelligence gathering facility for them. The one in Australia seems to be the entry port where they come in there and then go out around the Earth. And uh, I never viewed the one in the Pyrenees, so I'm not sure about it.
Okay. Okay. And which type of alien is this? Is it different aliens or just one race of aliens?
No, all different kinds. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I know you got the reptilians, you got the grasshopper-looking people, you got all
Yeah.
these different types. And how are
The main ones I saw in Australia were the Greys,
okay?
but I've seen others too. Yeah.
How are they able to hide the bases then? I mean, is there like an invisibility cloak on them, or are they deep underground? Or
Most of them are deep. Well, the ones that those four are deep underground. Yeah. Are in mountains, inside of mountains. Uh, but the trying to be very careful about what I say here.
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, unofficially, yeah,
Unofficially, yeah.
unofficially, yeah.
The ones that are on Earth are the ones that we allow to be on Earth,
Okay, okay,
that governments allow to be on Earth and give them reservations. That's why they are where they are, away
okay,
from people.
okay,
And um, they're friendly.
okay.
Now, the unfriendly ones we don't allow here. Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that. When you're talking about this in Alaska, I'm thinking of that TV show, The Alaskan Triangle,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
because they
In
see
fact,
a lot of
they did a special feature on Mount Hayes.
yeah, they see a lot of
Mount
stuff,
Hayes. Yeah.
a lot of stuff in the sky out there, boy.
Oh yeah,
Alaska's a
absolutely.
place. This is just so interesting. So can you? And I know unofficial because we're talking, we're talking off the cuff. Can you describe a base to us? What does one of their bases look like?
The one in Australia is the one I did the most. It is like an airport terminal, a very huge airport terminal. Basically, what I saw was 2 floors and a sort of a cradle type place where a saucer comes in, lands in it. People who are traveling, or the beings that are traveling, get off and go in there. That's the airport type. And then the floor below that is maintenance, crew stuff and things like that. Yeah.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense though that they would have something like that here. It makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense
Yeah.
because you
And
always wonder how
I think
they're
that's a way that the governments can keep track of who's coming in and leaving too. Yeah.
kind of think of the movie Men in Black with that one, because that's what they were doing with monitoring where these aliens were.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
It makes you wonder some of these producers, these TV guys, like you get like Gene Roddenberry and these people like that, how much they might have actually known as opposed to did it all come, from their head?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because
I've seen a lot of TV shows and all that. There's one episode of Mulder and Scully where there is so much real, true information in that one episode. I was watching it with my mouth hanging open. They would put this on TV, and yeah. But I think there are a lot of people who know.
Well, even the last American Horror Story.
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, that was about the aliens. Well, these were under the White House, but what they were doing with the people that they abducted, and how they were trying to do the hybrid program and all that, and then they ended up moving to Area 51 in the end because they had made a contract with I think it was Eisenhower. And Eisenhower did he did the stuff in exchange for like the ability to make microwave ovens and things like that, and then and then they started to realize that it was kind of getting out of control because the aliens were looking, it always in bad. And the aliens are going to take over and then kill us all.
I'm sure they have to Hollywood it up, yeah.
But it's interesting because a lot of stories you hear about them trying to make these hybrid programs and all this going on, American Horror Story was pretty darn close to a lot of the stuff I've heard, you know?
Yeah.
So whoever's
Um,
doing the research had to be, somewhere at the military or somewhere along the line.
well, each different type is here for their own reason.
Yeah,
They're not all here for the same reason. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, you hear one story, it may apply to one group of them that's here. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. What you did is so interesting to me, and it's like it's like you say, you had PK abilities. I've gone in Mac computers and I don't get along. I can kill one instantly. That's why I don't own a Mac. I just don't. And I was one of these people too. I could walk into a building and knock the lights out.
Yeah.
Depending what my mindset is, if I'm really angry or something's going on.
Oh yeah.
Or walk
Yeah.
down the street, the street lights go out as I'm going.
Yeah.
You know.
Mhm.
So I understand what you're talking about. But how did you go from being able to do that to expanding into being able to let your mind go?
Oh, they put me in the unit. General Stubblebine put me into the remote viewing unit, and they trained me.
Okay.
The thing is, this is a trainable thing. We rarely ever found anybody who can't do it. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, because I guess, like what I've learned over the years is everybody has this in them that they're born with it. And then as they get older, it kind of suppresses because you've got other things going on in your life, so you forget about how to do it.
Well, not only that, but our society is against it. They make fun of it. The media makes, ridicule of it. The church says, you're going to hell. And, the psychiatric people say, oh, that's a psychosis. That's not psychic. It's psychosis. You're crazy. And so, yeah. In the remote viewing training, we don't teach you to be psychic.
Right.
You already are psychic.
Yeah.
We teach you to stop being not psychic,
Mm-hmm.
to start using what you got,
Well, that's a lot true what you say about people. Because I remember when my mother, she had Alzheimer's, but she was sensitive too, and I knew it, even
Yeah.
growing up. And when they would ask me, because she would see my father and whoever else, in the house all the time. And I take her to the doctor, and they'd look at me and go, well, is she hallucinating? And I kind of looked at them and I went, well,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a ghost hunter. That depends, what you think is hallucinating and what's not. So I
Yeah.
get these big discussions with her doctors all the time because I'm like, she's not hallucinating when she sees this stuff. She's seeing these people.
Well, see, that means you're mentally sick too.
Yeah, see? Which is fine with me. I'm good. Yeah, it's just craziness. Question in the chat room is, what are the different reasons the aliens are here?
Many different reasons. Some for trade, some for scientific reasons, some for mineralogy. Digging raw supplies to take back home. Others are here for psychological and educational reasons to help us. I was tasked one time to do a paper, an analysis, and I was given access to a lot of the UFO incidents that will never make it to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And in all of this, I came to a conclusion. This is my conclusion, okay? I categorized the ETs into 4 groups: friendly and unfriendly. And in each of those groups, more psychic than we are and less psychic than we are. Okay. The task was to compare and contrast ET psychic ability with human psychic ability. That's why I focused on those 4. I found out that the friendly ones who are equal or less psychic than we are mainly here for trade.
Okay.
The unfriendly ones who are right at our level of psychic ability or less, they don't come here. They don't like us. They don't want to be around us because we kind of scare them and all that. So they don't generally come here. The friendly ones who are more psychic than we are want to educate us and help us develop our psychic ability. The unfriendly ones want us wiped off the planet,
Of course they do.
just wiped off the planet. And, on both of those, I kept wondering why.
Hmm.
And there's one incident that I recorded or that was, given to me. Uh, these guys were standing on the shore of a lake. They were out camping, and this UFO came up, and they were watching it come up. It got right over them, froze them, and had the abduction. And it dawned on me, they are much stronger in their psychic ability than we are,
Hmm.
but they had to be right over you. They have no range. In our remote viewing, we can see across time and space like we're looking across a room.
Hmm.
For our friendly ones out there, if we develop that before we go into space, we will be a major force in the space. And they want to be our friends and they want to help us do it.
Hmm.
And for that same reason, our enemies up there, they just want to wipe us out because they don't want us out there.
They don't want to deal with us if we do, yeah. If we do
Yeah.
get to that point. Question in the chat room, and I know this is probably something you hear all the time. Okay. Are the unfriendly aliens using humans as a food source?
I don't know.
Too many movies.
Too many movies,
Too
but
many movies. They could be, though. I'm not laughing at that's your question.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I really don't know. I've never looked into that. I've never been tasked with them as a target. So I have to admit ignorance there.
That's good. That's okay. That's fine. That's a good question, though. Great question.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Another thing that makes me wonder too, their technology is so far beyond us. Like when you talk about the unfriendlies being afraid of us once we get our psychic powers built up. I mean, if they
Well,
wanted to take over, they could take over technically.
probably, yeah. But that's largely a part of our fear and imagination. The fact is, on much of it, let me give you an example.
Okay.
In order to move things, we have found that you can blow something up and it'll move it. Okay. And so that has developed in our history to where we have the internal combustion engine making the pistons move by blowing up gas. We have jet planes and all that. Some other cultures have learned that you can make things move with magnets. Okay.
Makes sense.
They developed along that line. They look at us and think that we're advanced more than they are.
Wow.
We look at them and think that they're more advanced than we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we developed in different ways. And some of them are more advanced than we are. But, there are indicators about those who do the magnetic thing.
Sure.
You have a UFO that flies, mainly its drive is magnetic. And it flies over the ground very slowly. And if it wants to take off, it shoots straight up away from the ground and then takes off.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a magnetic motor going across an iron core planet that's all irregular in its shape,
Mm-hmm.
you don't go across it very fast.
Mm-hmm.
You glide along it. And then if you want to go fast, you get away from the planet.
Right.
Others can zoom in and zoom out, and they're not using magnetic drives. So they're indicators on all of this, you know.
Right. 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 Plus, I was thinking with the magnetic drives, with the way magnets work. Sure, if you're over the Earth, all you have to do is put an opposing magnet or readjust the magnet to its opposing, and that's straight up for you.
It's not that simple, but yeah, yeah.
Question is, how do you rank the reptilians? It's a good question.
How do I rank them?
Yeah, are they like are they hostile? Are they peaceable?
Oh. One of the things I found out in the study I did is that you can't say the grays are our favorite, or, you know, are our friends, and the reptiles are our enemies, and all that, because even if you say the reptiles, okay, reptilians, the reptilians from that system, reptilians from this system, reptilians from the other, some are our friends, some are our enemies. Some of the grays are our friends, some are enemies. Some of the, what's the other, Nordics are our friends, some are our enemies. And so you can't oversimplify it by saying, what do they want?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just too many theys out there.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like here on Earth when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, the different populations here. I mean, some people are more friendlier than others. Some people, I don't want to use the word butthead, but I'll use, some people just are,
One of my students was listening to that, and he said, "Oh, that's like asking." Excuse me for saying this. He said, "Oh, that's like asking, what do women want?"
Yeah,
Ask each one before you, and you'll know. You'll get a different story. Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
And it's the same with, what do men want? Ask each one. You'll get a different story. Yeah.
Do you think that when we talk about abductions that we do have some kind of contract? Just your opinion, okay? I'm just asking. With the alien species to take so many humans a year or whatever?
Oh, I think there are agreements. I don't know about contracts, but
Okay. Well, I mean,
you may notice that the number of human abductions went down,
Mm-hmm.
and about the same time, cattle mutilations went up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think the agreements are. I think there are agreements. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't have proof of that.
Oh no, absolutely. That's just another speculation, but I mean, I'm sure there are. You should watch. I'd like to get your opinion on that American Horror Story thing. I really would, because that was interesting. At first, I was like, oh, another
American Horror Story.
Last season they did, yeah, they did like 3 or 4 segments on the UFO alien thing. It'd be interesting to see what you think of it, because a lot of it was like people I've talked to that were involved in different programs with the government have kind of confirmed it in a way, But I mean, it wasn't
where do you find this? Is it?
It is what channel? I think does AMC do American Horror? See, I'm trying to remember.
It's on the internet, though?
Yeah, it's on the internet. Just Google. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
Yeah, just check it out. Yeah. Yeah. I forget what channel. I can't remember. But I've been watching it. I saw it on Hulu, to be honest, is when I saw it, because I don't have regular cable right now. So I saw it on Hulu.
I'll look it up.
Just recently, yeah. But it's the last season. It's just the last season thing they did, and it's the last part of it, because there's the first part of it, and there's the last part of it that deals with the aliens. And some of the people I've interviewed that the conspiracy people and all that kind of are in the know say, yeah, it's based on what was going on with the government, loosely based, but it's based.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that makes sense. What have we got? Okay, Athena wants to know which X-Files episode were you referring to?
It's the one where the 2 men in black come and visit somebody. I forget who they're visiting, and tell them, and it's the one where Mulder sits in the cafe and keeps eating pie over and over and over. And part of that episode is the men in black come and interview somebody. And that episode is meant to be comedic. It's meant to be funny. There is so much in that thing that is just it's almost all in the background, but it's there. It's amazing.
Oh, Jerry says it's FX and Hulu. Yeah. So yeah, FX,
What's in?
FX for American Horror Story and Hulu.
Oh, okay, good.
It's free on Hulu, so it's still good.
Okay.
Because, like I said, you see these things all the time, and I kind of roll my eyes when I saw the first episode, and I was like, I don't want to watch this. And I finally sat down to watch it, and I thought, wow, this is really close to some information I heard. Dang, So how many years did you do this type of work?
I was in the unit for 8.5 years. When I got out, I started doing this for police departments under a thing that I set up called the Assigned Witness Program.
Okay.
I was talking to a detective one day, and he said, he was giving me all these questions and all that. And I finally said, well, what do you really need? He said, well, what I really need is a witness. And I said, I can assign one. And there's this look of enlightenment dawned on his face, and he said, you can, can't you? I said, yeah. And so I started the Assigned Witness Program. Yeah. And generally we would turn our results in as anonymous witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
They would use the information to then develop their investigation.
Were they open to it, or did you not tell them that you had these abilities?
No, the detectives that I worked for were completely open to it, and it was word of mouth among the detectives. If we had done it as remote viewers, the detectives would have used the information, solved the case, and then it would have been thrown out by
the
upper ranking people. And if it ever went to court, it would be ridiculed and all that. So we just did it as assigned, unidentified.
Sure,
witnesses.
just to give them the information so they could go, take the information and use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, people say, well, how many kids did you bring home and cases did you solve? We didn't solve any. We didn't bring any kids home. But we gave the information that let them do that.
Well, how wonderful, though.
Yeah.
What a wonderful thing to do, because, there's a lot of stuff out there that they don't know happened, and you can help them out with that.
Yeah. And finding missing evidence and things like that. And yeah, let me tell you, this learning the CRV is not just sitting down and being psychic. Okay. It's a learning process. It's a scientific development that was developed at Stanford Research by, working off the work of Ingo Swann. And the first time the phone rings, you pick it up, there's a cop on the other end that says, thank you for the information. We brought the kid home safe. It's worth it. Oh, listen, that's a high point in your life. It really is.
I can imagine. And then you started your own business outside. You had the witness thing, and then you have your own business right now too, right?
Yeah. After it became declassified, it came out to the public, and they found out that I was the trainer in the unit. And so I started getting all these hundreds of people wanting the training. So I said, okay, well, I'll just start doing that,
And you put your business together. And how many students do you have usually?
Usually in a class, when I had the classes here, I would have 3 or 6 people. I kept them small. Now that I'm teaching online, I have right now, I think 300 students going through the courses.
So when somebody learns how to do this, what do they end up doing? How do they apply it to the outside world? Do they get jobs or work with police departments, or what can they do?
No, not really. most people do it for their own reasons. Some people want to do it just to develop their abilities. Some people want to do it for gambling. Some people want to do it for business.
Yeah.
Some want to do it for medical reasons. We have, I don't know how many psychiatrists and psychologists who have come to learn more about the human mind, and it's getting into the psychiatric field with books that are saying, hey, Freud and Jung, they were wrong. And here's what the human mind can actually do. And so among the psychiatrists and psychologists, the controlled remote viewing is becoming a big thing, accepted. Yeah.
It's very interesting to me. And when you talk about students, I mean, what types of students do you get? Is it all men, or is it a combination of women, or women
It's
and
a
men?
combination of gender, race, male, female, and the non-binary genders, and and different countries.
Okay.
I have students from all over the world.
And what type of testing do they get? I mean, like with you, when you were with the government, obviously you. Just describe that for me. Did they give you? I mean, like you said, they didn't give you anything to go on at all when you were working. Did they at least give you an envelope or anything like that to hold or something that before you did it, or how
No,
did that work?
in our practice, they would have an envelope, but a monitor
Okay.
would hold the envelope. All we had was a pen and paper. That was it. And they would say, this project so and so, this is, this target is target number whatever. What's the answer? That's it.
That's incredible.
Doing it that way keeps your logical mind out of it. It keeps you from thinking, "Oh, I know what it is," and going off into la la land and all that, because you're totally blind to the target. And at some point, you learn to listen to your subconscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
trust it, write down what it's telling you. And we had a senator come one time, and he said, "We're looking at funding you for a year. We were funded every year. We were not a permanent organization."
Okay.
And he said, "I just don't know if I want to vote to fund you or not. I want to see what you're doing." And so he had a picture in an envelope in his satchel that he had never seen. He had one of his pages, pick a picture and put it in an envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came over and watched us do a session to describe what was on the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to our director afterwards, he said, "I am totally underwhelmed." He said, "I expected to see something psychic, and all I saw was two guys sitting there at a table just talking, and every now and then one of them would write something down." And our director said it was one of the bravest things he had ever done. He said, "Here's what the viewer wrote down. Take the picture out and see if it matches." And the senator took the picture out of the envelope, looked at it, and excuse the language here, he kept saying, "Damn, damn, damn." And we got funded for another year.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. See, but I
But
don't
you don't go
understand.
into a trance. You don't do any of that psychic stuff.
Right.
It's a procedure. Yeah.
It just comes to you. Right. It's kind
Yeah.
of like automatic writing. I mean, I've seen people do automatic writing that way too.
Yeah.
Where they're sitting at a table and all of a sudden out it comes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Out of the blue. The other thing that perplexes me is Congress's attitude with it all too. Is that, I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could deflect missiles like that? I mean, if there's something was headed for New York or San Francisco, and then you could stop it with your mind. I don't understand
Yeah.
Congress's thinking.
Well, the government had been caught back in the 60s doing experiments on humans, doing human use experiments, messing with their mind, doing the LSD, doing psychological terror to them and all that. And they got caught. And so when General Stubblebine took this to Congress, yeah, they said, this sounds like mind control. We will not fund it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now you've written a book, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Got a book out about this. I'm going to show the book real quick here.
Okay.
There we
Yeah.
go. 7 cents. Now, what's in your book? Tell me about your book.
Okay. The thing is that, well, part of the history of the unit while I was there
Mhm.
and my experiences in the unit and all that, but also a lot of the explanations of what it is, how it works, and all that. And then I have appendices in the back that show you how to develop this ability for yourself. It doesn't show you the protocols or anything like that, but it tells you how to bring out your own psychic ability, even though it's not, in a controlled mechanistic thing like was developed at Stanford.
Okay. And did you have to like get this book okayed with anybody in the government at all, or you just got stuff in there that just
Oh yeah, there's no problem there. Yeah,
I can see no
no,
problem.
it's been declassified, and
Okay.
so yeah, there's no problem with the book, yeah, and that on that way.
Okay. Okay. I just interests me in that you did they had you guys sitting there. How many? Can I ask you how many were in the government program?
Over the period of the thing, I think there were about 18 different viewers,
Okay.
18 or 19. Uh, um, they randomly picked intelligence agents numbers, and just by accident, my intelligence number was not 007 or anything like that. It was 018.
Okay.
Uh, but I think over the entire period, we had 18 or 20 different viewers.
Yeah. Is it tiring to view? I mean, when you get done doing a reading like that, are you exhausted afterwards?
Different people have different reactions to it. Joe McMonigal, you've heard it,
Yes, sir.
uh, gets hungry. Joe will do a session, and afterwards, man, he heads for the nearest fast food place. Uh, um, as far as me, like I say, I do it just as another job to do during the day,
Hmm.
and it doesn't really have that effect on me. Some others, yeah, get very tired. Uh, one that I can think of gets very energetic afterwards. It's an individual thing. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. What do you like about doing it?
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love the experience of it. Uh, I love the results of it, the good that it does for people, and um, and I'm amazed by it. I'm not surprised by hardly anything I see accomplished in remote viewing anymore.
Hmm.
But if I ever quit being amazed by it, I'll go back to programming computers. I'll just it's what I did beforehand.
Absolutely. Um, what do you say to somebody that wants to get into doing it?
Go for it. Yeah. But I also say be very careful. There are a lot of people out there who say that they're remote viewing teachers,
Hmm.
and they're not. What they're teaching is either map dowsing or scrying or pendulum stuff, or just lay back, let your eyes roll back in your head, and all of a sudden, yeah, you're a remote viewer. And that's not true. Uh, get somebody who's qualified, who's
Hmm.
certified, and who has a track record of success at it. If you don't, the stuff you're going to learn is going to be garbage.
Okay.
There are now getting to be a handful of the non-military students, students of the military people who are becoming qualified as CRV teachers. And CRV is much harder to learn.
Hmm.
It's really a hard thing to learn. Uh, no, it's easy to learn, but it's hard to learn to do well.
Hmm.
Okay. And takes a lot of practice, practice, practice. But if you have the chance, get a CRV teacher, a qualified one. Uh, there is no more productive or no better thing in this entire field than CRV.
Well, see, again, that makes sense because I mean, I've seen these psychic challenges, and what people
Oh,
don't realize is they lump everybody into one lump, ability wise. So I've
yeah,
seen these psychics. In fact, my friend that did the remote viewing also, she was on a psychic challenge, and they had like seven psychics sitting there, gave them all an envelope and said, "Well, read this." And a lot of them could not read it because I mean they just don't have those talents. So
yeah,
yeah, like you say, it's important that if you want to get into this, to really look into the credentials of the site, of who you're dealing with.
yeah. But the thing is, those who could not read what was in the envelope might be excellent at finding us in child.
Uh huh.
You know, yeah, the people who test psychics generally have no idea what they're talking about, so they don't know how to test them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's a question in the chat room. Lewis wants to know, where do a lot of the aliens come from?
Out there. No, they come from there and there and there and there and there and there and there, all over. Yeah. And, to say, what do they want? Which they? Yeah.
There's so many of them out there.
And you say, well, what do the Greys want? Which set of Greys? The
See,
Greys from which planet?
I didn't know there were different grays. See, I learned something new today.
That's right.
So, how many planets do the grays come from?
I have no idea.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
I would imagine it's a count larger than we can even imagine. Yeah. Because
Question.
we're not the only galaxy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's so many galaxies out there. Question in the chat room: how can you find a qualified CRV teacher? Where do you start?
My website has a list of 7 of them. They're usually booked up, but there are also a lot of people saying they're CRV instructors and they're not qualified. But if you look and see who the military people were, and their best students are now becoming trainers. And so contact me, contact Paul Smith, contact Dave Morehouse, some of the other military remote viewers, and they will tell you which of their people are now qualified. And like one of my students, Lori Williams, is highly qualified. Another one of my students, she's in New Mexico. Paul O'Connor over in Ireland. Coral Carte in Italy. We have some in Canada. We have some in Australia and all that. And so yeah, wherever you are, get one of the military viewers. We're easy to find, and just ask them. Ask us. Yeah.
Sounds good. Last question I have here, actually next to last, is Mars occupied, or was it occupied at one time?
Yes and yes.
Okay. Okay.
From what several of us have found, They were occupied. It was occupied at one time with intelligent, civilized beings.
Okay.
Many expect that those beings came here when Mars just, basically died.
Mm-hmm.
The others that stayed on Mars have basically de-evolved, and they're hidden underground. They have basically just lost their culture, lost uh, their intelligence and all that. So they have de-evolved over time.
Okay, cool. And my last question is,
Mm-hmm.
you've got the school for teaching people, so you're on the strip in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of already went over this, but let's see how it goes. And you're standing outside trying to get people into your classes, and there's other guys that are kind of teaching the same thing, on either side of you. How do you draw people into your classes?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't advertise. I don't draw people in.
Okay.
If they find me and want to sign up for the course, generally, hopefully, I'll get the chance to talk to them. And if they're really not serious about it, I don't want to take the time and effort to even mess with them, because I want people who are going to bring home missing kids do this for police work and doctors. And if there's no nice way to say this. If they're Looney Tunes, no, I just don't take them. No.
Gotcha. No problem. How can people find you, sir?
My website is crviewer, CRVIEWER at .com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
crviewer.com. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
This was great. Thank you so much. I learned so much tonight. I know they did too.
I hope it
really
helps. Yeah.
appreciate you coming on. I really do. I've admired your work for a long time, and
Thank you.
wow, to me, it's a wow moment. That's all I can say to have you on like this. And I would love to have you on at some point in the future to talk more with you, because
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
incredible stuff, sir. All right.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sure, no problem. And you have a great evening. Okay.
You too.
All right. Bye, sir.
Bye.
All right, that was great. I just learned so much tonight about remote viewing, and he's incredible to talk with. Tomorrow, we're kind of going down the same rabbit hole in a way. We're going to be talking about mind control with Robert Guffey, and his story is rather unique. And so we're going to have him on tomorrow, same time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. But again, I want to thank Lynn for coming on, because man, I've been wanting to get him on for a long time and talk with him. And I hope all of you guys learn something too, because that's what's important. We're here to learn something. Anyway, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We are equal opportunity here at California Haunts Radio. And please, if you're watching from YouTube, subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Like I said, there's that little ghost down at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen with the magnifying glass and the Sherlock Holmes hat on. That's how you subscribe. And also, I have a great website, CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com. We've done more than 200 videos since we've started, 200 shows, and they're all there. So if you want to go back in the archives, you can get there via our website. We've also got some paranormal news on there, and we've got paranormal videos on there, and all kinds of stuff. And if there's any special events that we put on as a group, we have those listed there as well. So you can check all that stuff out. In fact, I'm just putting in our Blog Talk Radio stuff. We were on Blog Talk Radio for 15 years, and I'm just starting to get the archives put on the website. So all that's going to be available to you guys. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. Again, here's my PBS moment. We are a nonprofit organization, so everything you see here, whether it's lighting or the mic or my headphones or whatever, comes out of my pocket, and I also pay for the internet fees and all that stuff. And I could use a little help to keep the show on the air and keep these guests coming, because I know you guys enjoy them too. So if you could help me out with that, that would be great. That's at paypal.me/California Haunts. Or if you're uncomfortable with PayPal, head over to Venmo and just type in California Haunts. And that being said, I'm going to go ahead and show you the information on on Lynn's website and his books and where you can get them, and then I'm going to sign off here. So here we go. Website, crviewer.com, crviewer.com. And the book is The Seventh Sense. The Seventh Sense. 7 cents. I'm losing my mind. And there's also a second book, which I didn't mention earlier, and that's Gravity Can Be Your Friend. And you can get those at Amazon.com. But anyway, I want to say thank you all for coming tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow night with tomorrow's guest. And we may have a special guest on one of these Friday nights, and it's an old friend of mine. I'm real excited about it, trying to coordinate with her, and I think you'll like that. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.